through our network. We are live on Facebook already. So yes, we'll be beginning.
Okay, perfect. Because I was looking for it and I don't want to mess it up.
So greetings and a very warm welcome to Global SBM Business Talk. Today we are honored to have Ms. Diana with us as our guest speaker. Ms. Diana is a graduate of Harvard Law School at Harvard University and is admitted to practice law in the state of New York and in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Diana proudly holds a Global Entrepreneurship Certificate from the Sloan School of Management at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. She is also a graduate in law from the University of Transilvania in Romania. She is fluent in English, Spanish, French, Italian, Romanian, and conversational in Portuguese, German, and Greek language. That was a very brief introduction of Ms. Diana. Thank you so much for joining us, Ms. Diana, and we are excited to hear from you.
Thank you so much for having me, Parshu. It's an honor to be able to be part of your program, which I find to be extremely valuable, not only to your part of the world, but also to the entire earth, because we do need to hear from you as well, and you do need to hear from us so we can work together. There's great value on both sides, and I couldn't be happier to work with you and your wonderful husband, Kachendra, who is also one of my classmates at MIT, and that makes me very, very proud of him. I actually call MIT the Hogwarts of this world. Harvard is there too, but we need to do a little bit of more work in terms of collaboration. So in very short, I will start giving you a little bit of background about whoever doesn't know me. I do have many friends and apparently family joining today, so I'm very, very, very happy. It's actually my first live event where I will be speaking about myself, and I am a little bit nervous, but I hope it's gonna be okay. So in very short, I was a beloved child who unfortunately lost both of her parents. I was taken away from my mother, and then my father died because as a result of it. And I had to struggle my entire life to understand who I was. I had no siblings. I had nobody to help me, and I was pretty much locked up for about 20 years of my life. The only way that I could put things together was through school. So school was my only lifeline, and I devoted all of myself to it. And unfortunately, I did not develop many of my passions in the meanwhile. But while at school, I did study also music because my family was an artist family. So my mother was a painter, and so she's very creative, very imaginative. And then my father was a musician. He played the drums. And as a result, I became a child who could play the violin, the flute, the piano, the guitar, and also sing. I also loved sports, but I didn't really get involved much. I was born and raised in Romania, and Romania in 1983 was communist. And that obviously posed many, many issues to the population. We didn't have access to food. We only had certain quantities every month of meat or bananas or milk or something like that. And it's been a very hard time. We didn't have electricity. We didn't have the ability to watch TV. We couldn't listen to other people's music. And I remember populations in my country, they were going out of their way to do illegal things so they can really listen to the music of the neighboring countries. And that was very, very popular. However, Romania did have a rich tradition when it came to traditional music and dancing, but that was just like set up for the communist regime, and you had to watch it whenever they wanted you and for how long they wanted you to. So weddings were not encouraged with big celebrations. Gatherings of people were not encouraged. So that's why I'm so happy to be having this option of meeting you and everybody else, because yesterday, as a matter of fact, I actually spoke to good friends from Nigeria, Ghana, Egypt, Morocco, and Algeria. And I couldn't be happier to be able to do this on this platform. So while I know everything has negative aspects, we really can make a wonderful thing out of Facebook, and we can really use it for collaboration and for bringing the right people together, because in essence, this is what I learned at MIT. The key to everything is the right team. But we will get to that once I go through my lifetime. And as a result, in Romania, communism fell in 1990. I always said that I would have probably become like a champion at ice skating if I had the option, but I did not have the option. We didn't have, everything was closed for many years. And luckily now the children of today, every time I go back to Romania, they have these outstanding possibilities to do whatever they want. Like my good friend Nicu Dascalu is teaching martial arts. I always wanted to be part of his group, but I was never allowed, or I couldn't afford. So this time, I think it's going to be much different, because I would love to learn from the greatest experts in the world about the techniques of martial arts when it comes at least to defense, not necessarily attack. Dancing has always been a pleasure of mine, especially Latin American dances. And I've had the chance to do that with my best friend from Bolivia and the Bolivian community, as you have all seen yesterday. I also dance proudly Cretan. I grew up with the Cretans in Boston, and I miss them very much. I'm sorry. So now things are getting much better, because I'm back in the United States and I'm here to do all the great things that I wasn't able to do before. I hope everybody's going to be close to me again and help me do all the right things. So my having the school as my only life supply made me improve all of the knowledge that I needed to pursue my dreams. And because I saw so many, I was thrown out of my house when I was 16. I was alone. I was not allowed to have friends, and I didn't know what to do. So I was literally alone when my own family stole my house and threw me out in the streets. And I could only survive because my best friends reached out to me, but for a short period of time. After that, I was on my own again with the devil in my house, my aunt. So since nobody could help me, I decided that I had to help myself. And the way to do this in these days for a young girl was to actually study law. And I was not only looking at myself, but I did want to protect everybody else around me. And I started working for Save the Children in Romania. It's been a great experience, but it did not have the impact that I wish it had. Obviously, NGOs are okay. They try to help, but they do have many problems about that. One of the biggest is that most of the funding that is being distributed, it actually gets used by administrative expenses, and they don't get to the children the way they should be getting to the children to help them and instill all of the values that we want them to have and feel the love as well. So that's a different issue that maybe we need another talk to discuss only on the matter of nonprofits in the world and their actual impact. After high school, I decided, as I said, to pursue law in Romania at the University of Transilvania. I was alone, so I had no means to think about going anywhere else in the world. But since I was the best, I came to America, and America gave me almost everything that I have ever asked. They accepted me, and I accepted them, and I loved almost everything about them, and I helped in every single way I could. There are many things we have to work on, but I really think America can be the greatest country in the world. And the reason for that is because of the people. The people are the greatest asset. I was always admired for being able to be fluent in 4 languages at 20 when I came here. And I never really understood how you can really grow up with a Hispanic friend or a Jewish friend and not really start learning their language or at least words about their celebrations or their birthdays. Or this is always the way to learn a language. And I am very passionate about teaching as well, not just learning. And I will work with MIT to develop applications that are helping you learn music, helping you learn languages through music, because music is the most beautiful means to develop your brain, and that even came out from MIT studies recently. So I would really love to use the power of music to teach people another language. They do say that the fastest way for a man to learn another language is to fall in love. And I'm actually a live testament of that, because I learned Greek in about a month because I loved someone so much and I wanted to understand his language and talk to him. And it has brought me to life in ways that I never thought possible. It has learning a new language and using the power of music has enlightened my brain as well, and has taken care of the trauma that nothing else could have. And we'll talk about that a little bit later as well when we get to the trauma certificate, and how Bessel van der Kolk has really helped with everything that I've done so far, and has really put things together like the cherry on the cake for me. The next step was, after coming to the United States, I discovered Harvard, and I actually had the feeling that Harvard was Hogwarts. So I really wanted to be a part of it, and I've done everything I could. So for a couple of years, I decided that I did want to go to Hogwarts, which was Harvard, but I also did not want to give up on my country and Transylvania University, and also the civil law system, because as you well know, there's a common law system and there's a civil law system. And in order to be able to understand everything, you would need to get acquainted with both sides. So for 3 years I actually I had 2 jobs in the United States, looking for different law firms, acquiring great experience, and also going to school in Romania, graduating from there, and going to Harvard University for undergrad, and taking all sorts of courses that I think were for me. And that to me was like an invaluable experience, because Romania, even as a former communist country, they would force you to study everything they wanted. The only elective in a 4-year degree were like 2 courses, I think, and you could choose from one or the other. In the United States, you can literally choose anything you want. And criminal psychology has been a passion of mine. I always wanted to understand what makes people do such bad things, and how is it that we can help them so they can really enjoy life with everybody else. And this has been a mission, a personal mission for me throughout time. And I believe I have understood the reason and applied it to my life and everybody's life. Harvard had this ability of allowing you to study whatever you wanted, and expand your horizon or stick with whatever you wanted. But they obviously go to the other extreme of pushing your limits and helping you develop in other areas that you may not be as comfortable. So for example, I was an Olympic in Romanian literature back home, but I found it more complicated to learn writing in the American system. So it did take about a couple of courses to get a handle of that, but they helped me for the rest of my life, even as a lawyer or an entrepreneur. So I really I really appreciate being part of those classes. And then international relations or introduction to law, those were all things that would prepare you for what law meant, because in Europe, you go to law school after high school. But in the United States, you go to law school after college. So you have to go through 4 years of college and 3 years of law school, or possibly 1 year of specializing in a master's for foreign attorneys. So it's a very complicated system that I had to learn on my own, because there were very few people who would fit in that scenario. So the pre-law courses were really helpful for me to understand the system, to get acquainted with classes in English, to start using a computer on a regular basis, because that was not one of my favorite things to do in life, I must confess. I really loved people all of my life, and I wanted to enjoy activities with the people, like skating, dancing, skiing, loving the animals. Anything that had to do with people and animals was great, but machinery to me was not fitting in that equation. And I later understood that we do need machinery as well. So I had to learn many programs and work on many different machines. And now I cannot live without my phone, because it brings me close to the people I love the most and who may not be physically present next to me. And I know they are there and they love me, and I can reach out to them and they can hear my voice and they can understand what I'm saying. And to me, that's just priceless. So there's nothing I wouldn't learn just so I can get in touch with you all, wherever you might be in any of the worlds. And it's a pleasure to meet every single one of you this way, or even in person if you give me this chance. The next step was actually after I graduated from Transylvania University, and I did those preparation courses in the United States, which filled my heart with the idea that you are free to do whatever you want and free to choose to be exactly who you would love to be, not who somebody else wants you to be, even if that's your mother or sister or brother or professor. I remember when I decided to go to law school in Romania, and some of my high school professors heard that, they said, oh, obviously you would want to be a lawyer, because I had protected my classmates, but I've also been the one that shuttled diplomacy between the students and the professors. I never liked to see a student that was turned into a guilty person when they didn't do anything wrong. And I would always step up and say, please, we have to calm down. This is what actually happened. Don't punish somebody who's not guilty. And I guess the professors love that, because they can be intimidating too at times. Many students don't dare to reach out to them because they don't want to be punished or disconsidered in the future. And that's really not how it's supposed to be. There's supposed to be a dialogue, because they're people as well, and we are people, and they can learn from us as professors as much as we learn from them. We have great value as students, and they have great value as professors. So it's just about finding that middle ground and really building something of duration. A long-lasting impression that can change a child's life. And psychologically, they do say that you only need one person in a child's life to keep that child balanced and successful for the duration of the child's life. And if you could be that for what, you don't have to be the mother, you don't have to be the brother, you don't have to be it just, for me, because I didn't have anybody in my family to inspire me, it was my professors. So I still keep in touch with the woman who taught me English. Her name is Profesora Bucerzan, and I still keep in touch with her, and I still keep in touch with my math professor, whom I love dearly. Her name is Sasu Marcela, and also my Romanian literature professor, who's Arsene Doina. And I actually have her on Facebook, and I chat with her every now and then. So those people were the ones who really inspired me and gave me the strength to believe in a better world. And I will never go anywhere without them. and I've always been proud of them because I am the result today of the little things that I've accepted from the people around me. Not everybody put something good, but luckily I was able to recycle that negative into something positive. And I think this is what I've done at Harvard Law School. So after a few years at Harvard University and after graduating from Transylvania, I applied and got admitted to Harvard Law School in a program that was the elite program for international lawyers, actually, because it was designed for professionals who were either they could be judges in their home country, there could be lawyers, practicing lawyers, they could be dispute resolution activists, human rights activists. Obviously, we were about 180 from about 75 countries, and then we had a few PhDs who were working with us on a regular basis, so we consider them as part of us too, like Jonathan Darrow. And then we also had, who did we have? We had visiting scholars, like my very dear friend from Azerbaijan, Rashad. So we really got to understand life in a different way. I genuinely became friends with two Egyptian gentlemen whom I love dearly, and I would actually starve myself, and that's not something I normally do. Meals for me are very important, so I'm like 12:30 lunch and 7 o'clock dinner, so it's very hard for me to break that boundaries and feel good. My body requests balance. So I actually went through the trouble of waiting for the sun to go down before we would go to eat, because this was the only way that we could actually enjoy their company. And everybody did it gladly because we loved them so much, and we learned about their culture. Another very good friend of mine, Aminu Hassan, is from Nigeria, and I learned invaluable knowledge about both the food that they have, because we have accepted to eat it by hand in a restaurant where he took us just so we can be with him. And he also described the complicated situation in Nigeria to all of us, which meant not only that Nigeria is pretty much the heart of Africa because of all of the implications, but we understood that they're dealing with issues that other countries don't necessarily deal with. So there's like a Muslim population that abides by certain rules, and then there's a Christian population, and then there are the tribes who are obviously very valuable to the country because that is their essence. He is one of them, and he is the change that I adore to see. Many personal details about his life, but he may not want me to like uncover, but he was and he is the change that the world needs, and there's nothing I wouldn't do to support him because I really, really care about him and respect him a lot. The other important part was using our language skills to talk to classmates in other parts of the world. So I was very happy to exhibit my Spanish skills, and my good friend Rosalia had even introduced me proudly to her family because she was so excited of how I spoke Spanish. I even taught in Spanish at the time. My other good friend invited me for his criminal law class. At the time, I was actually working for a criminal defense office that was taking me to interpret Spanish in all of the jails in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. So I got to experience firsthand what it means to work in jails, even if temporary. And on the other hand, I was able to speak to the defendants who were behind bars, and they were struggling to either stay there for less or at all. Some of them were even deported. So there's many complications and many issues that you get to understand when that happens. There are people as well. Those people have families, most of them. And it's been very hard to see a particular client from the Dominican Republic. At the time, he probably was the most beautiful man I have ever seen in my life physically. And he was waiting a sentence of about 15 years behind bars. and his girlfriend was pregnant with his child. So that was like a true heartbreak for me. And I questioned what happened. And I said, why isn't this man on the cover of Vogue or something? Why isn't this man on the cover of like fashion magazines? And why did he fall into this trap of having his life wasted for so many years and break the hearts of everybody around him? And this has been my mission in life, to find out why families break apart, why we fall into the negativity. What is it that we can do to stop them? Another very big concern that I have is the opioid crisis, which apparently is taking more lives today than actual cancer does. And it's something that I'm very upset about, really. And I'm trying to find out what happens to people who are actually going down this line. I was fortunate enough to keep myself on a balanced path. I have not been drunk. I have not smoked cigars. I have not smoked cigarettes. I have not done any sort of drugs. I only accept German chocolate, particularly Milka, as my drug and my reinforcement. Now I have a specific music that helps me heal and stay balanced, which is everything Mihaly Hatzianis of Cyprus and Greece does. I do occasionally listen to other kinds of music as well. I love at least a song from probably every single band or artist in the world. But going back to what we were saying, the opioid crisis needs to be stopped. And I will get into more details a bit later. After Harvard and the amazing experience that took place there ended, we also had an international party that was sponsored by Harvard. So at this international party, every single one of our classmates brought their costume from back home, and they bought food, and they had all these representations of their culture, whether it was martial arts or dancing or the Indian team obviously was very popular at the time, because they danced together, and it was like a beautiful thing to see it right in front of you. So this is something I would like to replicate at a greater scale in the metaverse, but again, we'll talk about it later. And once we graduated, the situation wasn't as good for me, because I graduated in 2010 from Harvard Law School, and Harvard Law School did not do such a great job in like helping us find jobs, and it was a disaster. As a matter of fact, all international students were shut out of opportunities. Everything was being kept for Americans by Americans, which was very painful because I was in between. So I was an American citizen, I think, and I also had an American degree, and I also passed the New York bar, and then I passed the Massachusetts bar. So I'm an actual admitted attorney. But that didn't seem to matter to anybody, simply because everybody was scared. They didn't seem to have the money they had before. Firms were not hiring, or at least they just went their way of doing the same thing they did before without caring that they're stepping on dead bodies. And one of those dead bodies was me. I had prepared in the best way I could, and then still the system was stacked against me. So we need to do something about that. And that's not just Harvard or Columbia or any of the great law schools. I think we have to really be a little bit more humane and break certain boundaries, get rid of what is bad and keep what is good, in essence. I was able to get opportunities, but not in Boston where I wanted. So I had to go to New York, and I had to break my heart in many ways at the time, because I had 3 American pit bulls whom could not always come with me to New York. And then I had my best friends in Boston, and it was very hard to go to New York, because New York is not a place I would choose to go. At least it wasn't in the past. I have big hopes for it. But I really didn't want to be part of, like, what they say, it's a melting pot where nothing ever melts. Romanians make great stews, and this is how I want people to understand that life is. I lived in Brooklyn for a while where African Americans and Jewish do not even mingle. They each walk on separate sides of the street. No, this is not right. We can help each other. We can be friends. We can give in ways that we don't really consider that we can give. It's not always about money. It's not, oh, it's sharing a meal. It's many times it's just a smile. If somebody needs a smile, that may really be what they need to make it happen and to really heal their soul. You never know. You can shake somebody's hand, or you can help an old person carry a bag, or, you know, all of the things that Alicia Keys talks about in her music. So I did put myself in the situation of living in the hood, so I can see what is it that makes the hood, and why is it that we can't pick up New York, which is, if you can make it anywhere, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Yeah, it shouldn't be like that. No, absolutely not. Madonna was raped in New York. Lady Gaga was raped in New York. Many other women are having a very, very, very hard time making it through, and they have to sell their soul to the devil to get there. It's not worth it. I would have loved to be a star maybe, but I would never, ever accept to sell my soul for anything less than true love. This is not the right way. Hollywood may be doing great things and New York may be doing some other things, but if you are blocking women and forcing them to sell their bodies or their integrity to be part of this world, that world is not worth the women. And this is one of my advice to you. Follow your heart only, especially as women. Do not allow men, specifically men, to rape you. Do not allow men to forcefully impregnate you. Women are the most valuable resource the world has. We cannot let the bad man taint us in any way. There are good men there, I promise you. I found at least one, there are more, and we're getting them strong as well. So nobody ever has to go through what most of you went through. This ends here. Okay, MIT. Going on. So I did go to work for Fortune 500 companies as part of the American Law 100. I did work for Skadden Arps, which is the greatest company law firm in the world, apparently. I worked for the Boston office, and I did have some great colleagues. But obviously the structure, again, wasn't as respectful as it should have been towards people. Hopefully it's better now. The system also forces you to trade in your soul a little bit for money, in the sense that you would work for them, you would do all the great work that they need you to do, which is pretty much at the time reviewing 800,000 documents for a very important case for a Fortune 500 company. We were housed at the law firm, we were trained at the law firm, we had conferences with the law firm, with the lawyers. We shared meals with the lawyers, and yet we were forced legally not to disclose that we were working there. So even if we got this excellent training, we couldn't do anything with it because we were forced by the actual law firm not to disclose that we worked for them. So it's kind of like stabbing you in your back, and it's like it's not even worth wasting time working for them, since you cannot be using that experience. And I find this outrageous, especially in the United States, which considers itself to be a very proud country and is proud of its Constitution and also the First Amendment. There are many forms, legal forms, that should not even be used, I believe, because they have great capacity to destroy the human spirit and the freedom. But we'll talk about that maybe in later talks. Because I had worked in all of these industries that you can see in my description, and in 5-6 languages at the time, so I investigated primarily white-collar crimes, and I went through government investigations. That could have been from the SEC, the FBI, the Secret Service, the actual local district attorneys that were investigating certain matters in the Fortune 500. So I could actually look into matters from corruption, bribery, fraud, insider trading, manufacturers' defects in medical devices, and also many issues with sunshine laws and corruption in the medical world with doctors and the pharmaceutical companies, and also anti-money laundering, specifically in Latin America. Some of the cases that I'm most proud of, I guess, they're the ones I've worked in Latin America, in Brazil, especially. That was Lava Jato. And we were able to uncover many things from up in New York. And actually, the actual president of Brazil had to step down because of that. So as long as people were involved in corruption, they were either arrested or they had to step down as well from their public authority. And the other one was Pemex, involving also the oil and gas industry in Mexico and several other countries. Corruption in itself is a cause that I have very close to my heart. This is what I've done primarily in my work as a lawyer in the Fortune 500 companies. And I've noticed problems all over the world. I've done investigations in Romanian, English, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Italian. And I've noticed that across the globe, we have a similar issue. As a matter of fact, corruption exists everywhere, including in Switzerland, even if some of us do not want to believe that. Germany also has some corruption. On a scale of 0 to 10, there is no country that is out free of corruption. Unfortunately, you have Russia, China, and the Latin American countries that are really low on that scale. And Romania is just average, even if most of the citizens in Romania do not believe that. They tend to believe that everything is so tainted. And that's probably because they're genuinely kind-hearted and they want everything to be good and pure. And I guess that's what we all want. But yes, corruption is something that is a very big problem around the world. I also think I know the reason, but we might need another talk just to uncover the problems of corruption. I just want all the countries to know that I have received fair payment for them from the purest of the members, and no more payments are required on behalf of anybody. Please stop the corruption. I have received and accepted payments, and I have also given back a great part of my soul, especially to China and Russia as well, through 3 of their greatest members. And it was an honor to have them at my table and to serve them, and they did the same with me. And that is considered fair payment for now and forever. While on Wall Street uncovering all of these problems, I figured that I wanted to do something more with my life than just investigate. So I decided to be a business person, in the sense of understanding what is it that makes a business want to do the wrong thing and bribe or get advantages that don't belong to them, or don't pay the taxes that they should be paying, or all of the things, all of the above. And I was preparing to go for Harvard Business School because I never really believed I had enough technical experience to consider MIT. And I just got into a wonderful program at MIT that simply fit me like no other class did in the world. Well, I'm wrong. There was one other class that fit me actually at Harvard Law School, and that is corporations, with our outstanding professor, John Hanson. He is really the best professor I've ever had in my life. And I've had pretty good professors, but he really stands out by far. He was the only one who had the guts to say things the way they are. Look into the system, understand that the system was rotten to its core, and that there are so many things that we need to do to fix it, because that's what it is about. Nobody wants to destroy any system. Everybody wants the system to work, and they want the system to work for everybody, not just for some. And this is what the problem is. We are here to help all of us. And Professor Hansen has a unique view that I support 100%, because he also looks into the problem of psychology and people and how they tend to do the bad things and why, and what can we do about that. So I would suggest any single student at Harvard Law School having Professor Hansen on your radar, because he is just simply outstanding. Any course that you would want to take with him as well, I would really suggest that for you. Going back to MIT, so the class from MIT was so unbelievable that I just figured I want to find out more, even if I was in my 30s and I had no idea who I was, because I did not grow up with my parents. So every single thing that I've done was pretty much instinctively, without knowing who they were and what my bloodlines were. It just fit me. And when we had the program on campus, again, we had a great time, and again, a mixture of students from about 35 countries, and amazing ideas, because all of us were professionals. So we actually went through life to a certain degree, and we figured that we could improve the world in a particular way. And it was just unbelievable to see how everybody planned to make a great impact, kind of like whatever Steve Jobs said, to make a dent in the universe. I actually am the one who wants to fix all the dents in the universe. So you are really welcome to join me if you want to do that. MIT was like a unique experience where I found that it's okay to be great at more things. And this has been really a curse to me until MIT, because everybody wanted you to fit in a box, and I would not fit in any box. Whatever box they put in front of me, it was just not fitting, and obviously not allowing me to grow. So yes, think outside of the box, and the most important thing is feel outside of the box. I think it's even more important than just think, and act outside of the box. So that would be my idea. Act, feel, and think outside of the box, all three. After MIT, I had started to uncover who I was, and this has allowed me really to find my mother and to understand that I was taken away from her, and she was separated from me, and she would not grow either because she was away from me. Nobody can grow beautifully if they're separated. The part of our soul is not going to allow us to heal if the people we love the most are not with us. And it did take me many years to find out, but I now understand what a woman should be like. I understand what a mother should be like. I understand what a mother of pets is like. I understand what a woman in politics should be like. And this is where I diverge from many, because I support Elizabeth Warren, professor from Harvard, and the only political figure I have ever vouched for in my life. I've actually knocked on doors for her, and I called strangers for her as part of her program, because I genuinely believed in her principles. Everybody makes, I don't believe she has said any lies in her life. The Native Indian community is a wonderful group of people who I am so willing to meet. Their great representative has already come to me and offer the best of her. Many people don't even know they have a little piece of Native Indian soul in them, and they are the ones that I want to help the most, because their representative has asked me to create a network. Well, she wanted it in the United States, but I believe there's a great chance that there are Native Indians all over the world. So I would ask you to step forward and create a network that I would be honored to be a part of, because I found Native Indians a nation of great value. and a nation from whom I have so much to learn from. Based upon all of this, I have a network of entrepreneurs all over the world. I have a network of lawyers who are excellent lawyers all over the world. I have friends in the artist world, singers and dancers and family members who are up there. I have actors who are my friends. And then I still thought I needed a little bit of more to understand the world better. And I did when I found actually doctors, Bessel van der Kolk's book, The Body Keeps the Score, and pretty much has improved my life immediately, because all of my assumptions about what happens to the world became validated from a scientific point of view, which I did not get to do because I never worked in a lab. He did. He worked with veterans. He worked with incest victims. He worked with women. He worked with raped women. He raped with sexually abused boys. He worked with the sexually abused boys by the Catholic priests. One of my good friend from MIT, Sarah Klein, she's actually one of the first victims of the sexual abuse that Larry Nassar has perpetrated on the entire body of US gymnasts, including our champions. Some of them are not able to perform today because of that kind of abuse, and that is simply unacceptable. If they weren't sexually abused by their actual doctor, they were sexually abused by their trainer. And that trainer has actually committed suicide because he couldn't take the blame for what he did. This has to stop. The real men have to step up. There's no question about that. You either are like them or you are real men. There's no in between. You will, every single man, I promise you, every single man will find the woman he deserves. Do not allow women to be touched, raped, forcefully impregnated, or even trick them to get impregnated. The child is going to pay the price. The child will not be born out of love. You cannot do this. I promise you have your half waiting for you. She's waiting for you. She's looking for you too. You will get to each other at the right time. But until you get there, do not allow women to get hurt again in any way, because the woman is the one who makes you. She will never, ever hurt the best part of her. She actually gives her life for you to be born. She changes her body. She accepts half of DNA that is not hers. It's another man's. She accepts to be sick. She accepts to throw up. She accepts to even die sometimes just so her baby can be born. This kind of a creature is not bad. She is bad only when she doesn't have the love she needs. And if she's separated from the love of her life, she will never be happy. And the children she gives to the second man will never be born out of love, true love. The soul chooses without considerations of wealth, political affiliations, religious affiliations. Those should not exist anymore. Whatever the soul wants, the soul needs to get. This is the only way we will find our peace. I have found my peace, and I am giving you this peace to you. This was my wedding gift for all of you. I want to rejoice with you and your significant others very soon. And we're building with my classmates from MIT and classmates from Harvard and artists in Hollywood and artists in Europe. We are building this fantastic world in the metaverse. It's in solo space. You can stay at home with your pets. You can stay at home with the ones you love. You can stay at home and cook and take care of your body, drink water, enjoy the life that you're supposed to be. Then you're just putting the headset on and then you're with us. We are planning outstanding events at Solo Space, particularly. Dark Star Games are for the ones who come together in many ways, and then we have Solo Space for actual social events. But I wouldn't even call them social, I would call them global events. I envision the similar kind of party that we had at Harvard Law School, which would be a 24/7 global party that is nonstop and will have artists performing from all the countries in the world. I will make sure of that. And the criteria will be the passion to deliver your country's message. That's it. No sexual abuse, no rapes, no money, no corruption, no fraud, no nothing of that sort. As long as you love your country dearly, you can come to me and I will make sure you are part of the program. This is my promise to every single country on earth. I also want to have weddings over there. If anybody wants to have a wedding and is very beloved and their friends and family are all over the world and they can't make it, let's have a wedding there for you. You can technically have one with 8 billion people if you are so beloved. So you are welcome. Also, children who, like myself and like Mihaly, for example, and so many others, have been alone on their birthdays for many, many years. We will make up for that, and we won't allow any other child to suffer because of it. If the mother or the father or the aunts or the friends are at work, they can't do it, or something happens, you just put your headset on and you're there at the child's party for just a few minutes. Pay your respects, kiss or whatever it is that you want to do, hug the child and show him that you are there to support him or her. That will mean a lot, I think, for children who will never be alone again. Some other projects that I vision for the metaverse are learning to dance, actual physical dancing, martial arts. If anybody wants to help, I'm sure Niku Daskalu and my good friend Jonathan, who's also teaching martial arts, that would be fantastic. Everybody to be at home, not have any time restraints, not have like parking issues or traffic issues, and just learn in their own calm environment how to perform martial arts. And yet, the most important part of this will be learning how to cook. And this is where I asked for help from Gordon Ramsay. And I'm sure Jamie Oliver will be delighted to help. And I will actually put in my expertise as well to help people learn how to cook and how to innovate in the kitchen with different with different products from different cultures, the way I did with like Cretan olive oil or Cretan thyme honey or the Cretan bread. So I learned how to integrate that in many dishes that I cook. And always drink water. That's another topic that we will have. So this is pretty much where I am today. I have my own, I work with a law firm where we are taking care of the population in Massachusetts. I am opening a branch of immigration law. So for anybody who would like to come to the United States and do something great with us. And then I also keep my consultancy for global startups. And I'm currently a global legal officer for 2 great startups, one of them being Solo Space and the other one is Dark Star Games. And I think we're going to do really good things now that we are all together. And I couldn't be happier to be a partner and support you, Parshu and Kachendra, in all of these wonderful initiatives that you are putting together.
Thank you so much, Diana, for sharing your story. It was heart-touching.